Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Before we begin, everyone please take out one of these babies that you have and you know what to do with it. Put it on off or mute or something to that effect so we don't disturb our esteemed panelists here this morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nikos. I'm president of the American Hellenic Institute. On behalf of AHI, our nonprofit Greek-American think tank and public policy center, it is my pleasure to present a forum with these two distinguished government officials who have spent the past week traveling throughout the United States, a 5-day, 5-city tour in support of the 2018 Thessaloniki International Fair. The United States, if those of you who are not aware, will be the honored country at the fair this year, which will be held September 8th through the 16th with the theme, Harnessing the Power, Innovation, and Creativity. The Thessaloniki Fair is one of the largest and most elaborate trade fairs in all of Greece. Over the years, it has produced several noteworthy events throughout its history, and I only found out only a couple of days ago, including the invention, if true, of the frappe coffee, which in 1957 by Dimitris Vakonidos, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. In addition to its cultural and commercial importance, the event also has a political importance. It's customary for the Greek Prime Minister to set out the government's policies for each coming year in a speech at the festival. Today, we have two, as I said, distinguished government officials with us. Minister of Digital Policy, Telecommunications and Information, Nikos Pappas, and Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for Bureau of European and Eurasian Affairs, Jonathan Cohen. Together have visited high-profile companies such as Facebook, Lockheed Martin, Netflix, Airbnb, Electronic Arts, among others, to attract investors and exhibitors for the Thessaloniki International Fair. We're excited to learn more about the fair, how the fair presents the opportunity to advance the U.S.-Greece relationship, and how we can contribute to its success from our distinguished guest speakers. Minister of Digital Policy and Communication Information, Dr. Nikos Pappas, is an economist who earned his PhD at the University of Strathclyde in Scotland in 2013. He formerly worked at the Fraser of Allender Institute, which is part of the university there, as a researcher. In government, he served formerly as Minister of State in the first cabinet of Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras, before assuming his current cabinet position, which he has held since 2015. Jonathan Cohen's bio serves like where's Jonathan around the globe. He has had a distinguished career in the Foreign Service, where he's been in such places as Baghdad, Paris, Nicosia, Rome, Ankara, Stockholm, Vienna, and when he's been here in Washington, D.C., he's been at the OSCE desk, officer NATO Bosnia officer 1993-95, and on the Secretariat staff of advanced teams for Secretaries of State Baker, Eagleburger, and Christopher. And he's also served in Jerusalem as a USAID coordinator. But most recently, and I just found out only today, sorry, I've been a little busy following the Philadelphia Eagles for the last couple of weeks, so public policy has been a little bit, taking a back seat. He has been nominated to be our next Deputy Director at the United Nations, and I'm sure that confirmation will come through with flying colors, and we congratulate you on that, Jonathan. Jonathan also graduated with an AB in Politics and a Certificate in Near Eastern Studies from Princeton in 1985, and spent 95 through 86 at the Hebrew University in Jerusalem on an Israeli government grant, and attended Georgetown's Master of Science in Foreign Service program. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my pleasure to turn it first to Minister Nikos Pappas, and we will continue. At the end, there will be questions and answers. Not after each speaker, the Q&A will be at the end.
So, thank you very much, Nick. Thank you all for your presence this morning. We have prepared 2-3 short videos that will demonstrate what TIF is all about. And then the first video has to do with the general situation of the Greek economy and the Thessaloniki International Fair. And we have 2 more videos that have to do with our portfolio that deals with new technologies, and will give you a brief idea of what we have been doing, traveling 27,000 miles in a week with 27,000 kilometers, sorry. So with 40,000 kilometers you go around the Earth. We only managed 27, so I mean, we're close, we're getting there. But, so thank you, Nick, for this event, and I would like starting by thanking Jonathan Cohen, who's been with us during this trip, and he's been using very, very good words for our country and the relation of the two countries that is at an excellent point. What we actually agreed with Jonathan last night is, had the problem, the fiscal problem kept going on, that I would be narrating to the people what your words were and you would not possibly. So we do not have that problem. Jonathan is going to speak himself, which is quite an issue. Well, yesterday, Greece issued a 7-year bond, and within this turbulent situation in the world stock markets, we managed to achieve more than what we asked. So we were asking for 3 billion euros and we got 7 billion euros at a very competitive rate of 3.5%. I think this is a signal of stability which is recognized now all over the place. And it is a positive signal that is another piece in the puzzle of positive news about the Greek economy. I'm sure that we will have a lot to discuss about after we watch the videos, but I would like to say that the Greek diaspora has a very, very critical role to play, especially this year and in front of the Thessaloniki International Fair, and that is to mobilize businesses and society to visit the Thessaloniki International Fair during September. This event, it's not only the major political event in Greece throughout the years, but for 2018 is going to coincide with the successful conclusion of the third bailout program, which is the program that has worked. It has kind of stabilized our fiscal matters. It has brought growth back to the economy, it has increased employment, and it has actually turned the page for the country. Now our job is to build the new idea that the world has about the country. So the idea, or the perception of the country should no longer be the country that invented frappe, ouzo and spanakopita. These are fantastic things, although I don't like frappe very much. But that is not enough. We are a post-crisis society and economy, but we are seeking a new role in the area and in the world by, say, utilizing what we have unique among other countries. And this is one, our geostrategic position. Two is our great human capital. People that can work, can be creative, and take Greece into the new era by assuming, by exploiting, by utilizing the goods that new technologies can bring to everyday life, and by enhancing the role of the country in the broader area. We are quite confident that this can be the automobile of the new sustainable growth that our economy needs. And I will stop here. I would propose that we watch the first video and then we'll give the floor to Jonathan, and then we can watch the other couple of videos and leave it to discussion, Q&A.
floor is yours.
Thanks. Well, thank you, Nick, and Nikos, thank you for the kind words and for the excellent work this week, covering a lot of ground and touching base with some very important companies.
I surrender. Okay.
And good morning to all of you. For those of you who heard me speak at Capital Link back in December, you'll recognize a lot of the themes that I want to hit this morning. I've seen Greece over several decades of involvement with the country in difficult times and in good times. In the last decade have been very difficult times indeed. And we've seen the Greek people persevere and the Greek economy turn a corner. I believe in Greece, and the US government believes in Greece, and that's one of the reasons that I was sent to accompany the Greek delegation this week, which is very unusual for a State Department official, to try and recruit the top American talent that could showcase innovation and creativity and how the American entrepreneurial spirit harnesses it and uses it in a dynamic marketplace. A few years ago, the Greek economy was limping along, but through difficult decisions and the hard work of reforms, it's turned a corner and is now at a jog. For those of you who were in New York in December, you heard the investment community in Wall Street be very bullish about Greece's future. We believe that American companies can help turn that jog into a sprint, can help enable Greece to take its economy back to sustainable growth, and we want to encourage American companies to be a part of that. So that's part of why we've been making the effort this week to reach out and bring these companies in. The Thessaloniki International Fair is going to be the most important event in US-Greek relations in 2018. Not just because it's going to be an opportunity to reach 300,000 visitors at a trade fair, or because it's an opportunity for top-line American businesses to make an impact in a consumer market of 100 million consumers. And not just because the Prime Minister of Greece will be there to give his equivalent of the State of the Union address, and most of the Greek cabinet will be there, and the Greek opposition leader will be there to give his counterpoint address. Also because we'll have a high-level American delegation, as you saw in the video. Secretary of Commerce Ross will be a participant in that. We believe this is a real moment for American companies and political leaders to make a marked influence in the region. So we want to have the best possible representation, both in our delegation, but also in our companies that participate in the fair at the American Pavilion. I want to ask you all to help us create a buzz about the event, and to the extent that you have contacts and influence with people, encourage the top people in the business community that you know to be a part of this. We believe that showing support for the Thessaloniki Fair and the American participation as the honored country is an opportunity to show support for US-Greek relations, which have reached their best level since World War II, and we would like to see it come to an even higher level. We think that the Thessaloniki Fair gives us an opportunity to move it there. So let me end here, and I look forward to taking your questions, but to say thank you in advance for your support for the American Pavilion at the Thessaloniki Fair, and your support for the US-Greek relationship.
Thank you. Before we open it up to Q&A, let me also recognize that we have with us the Ambassador of Greece to the United States, Mr. Harris Lalakos. Mr. Ambassador, we welcome you here, and representing the Embassy of the Republic of Cyprus, Konstantinos Polikarpos. Thank you for being here, Mr. Polikarpos. For many of you, the American Hellenic Institute for many years was advocating doing business in Greece. It was one of our core missions when we started in '74. And to that effect, Mr. Minister, we had done as many as 12, 14 doing business in Greece conferences when no one was talking about doing business in Greece in the 70s and 80s. To that effect, trying to be relevant in terms of our mission and our goals, we take pride in that we were able to have Greece join the Overseas Private Investment Corporation under the Obama administration to help stimulate business and investment in Greece. To what degree that's been helpful, I don't know. We created the vehicle. Maybe you can tell us if that has been helpful in any case. But I want to ask a question of each one of you, and then we'll open up to Q&A. the nuts and bolts, you know, the practical. Somebody comes to me and says, okay, Nick, AHI, I want to go participate. What is the first thing they do? Who do they reach out to? What can they expect? And Jonathan, if I could just change it just a little bit, when the Prime Minister was here meeting with the President announced that he appointed Secretary of Commerce Wilbur Ross to head up a joint commission with the Greek Economic Minister, Dimitris Papadimitriou, with the proposal to facilitate an investment relationship that helps sustain Greece's economic recovery. Can you touch upon that as well?
Can I say that before we just let the discussion go, we spent 2 more minutes in watching another video, but I will not avoid your question. So if somebody comes to you and says, I want to participate in the TIF of 2018, you should ask them to speak to Mr. Spirtounias, who is with us, as the Greek American Chamber, who's playing quite an active role in that. Plus, if they, which they should, have a computer, they should log in and check the website of USA. It is usatif2018.com, I think. .gr. So it's all on the web, and you can find a lot of information. But Mr. Spirtounias is also here. He's got leaflets. I told him to have everything in digital form, but he didn't listen. Doesn't matter. He's got some printouts, but let's guys watch a video just to. We would like to make an even stronger argument that new technologies can be at the core of new sustainable growth of Greece. And an industry that is traditional, but it is now quite contemporary in terms of the new technological development and the role that super fast networks play, and also, I mean, post-production capabilities in movies. We're talking about the audiovisual industry. We have designed a new incentive scheme in Greece, which has already been voted in, and it will be effective 15th of March. That is like a month or something away, which is a cash rebate scheme of 25%. That is, whoever comes and produces audiovisual content in Greece can be entitled to a 25% cash rebate, and going through a procedure that is quite easy to do. It's a tick-the-box approach, and I think we have built the most competitive incentives scheme in audiovisual production in the area and probably in Europe. This is not only words. I'm talking about a legislation that has been passed, a program that is ready to run on the 15th of March, and 75 million euros that are waiting to be spent in an account in the Central Bank of Greece. People beware, if we do not manage to spend this money, we will not be able to secure any money for the next year. Because my position would be very difficult to persuade the Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance to set this money aside. So if there's something else to do, and we have been doing that with the movie businesses and audiovisual businesses in the West Coast together with Jonathan, is persuade and try to attract production, audiovisual production in Greece. This is not only because such economic activity has got a very significant direct impact. For each euro we spend, we expect from international experience to create 5 or 6 euros as an income. But it is something that has got a greater and broader cultural importance. And a good movie, a nice feature movie that has been created in Greece is advertising the country many more times than a typical advertising campaign could do. So, 2 more minutes, your attention please. So this is it. Lefteris Kretsos, there, raise your hand so everybody can see. Is the heart and soul of this scheme, and whoever would like to have more information about it should speak to him. We have met quite a lot of businesses that are in the audiovisual sector, and today we're meeting the Motion Picture Association also. So we had quite a heavy portfolio of meetings in that respect, but I will stop here and let the discussion go.
Let me say one other thing about the Thessaloniki Fair before we move on to question and answer. There are a number of sponsorship packages that are available to not just to companies but to organizations or individuals. If you want to sponsor space at the fair, the packages come with access to a number of featured moments. And if you don't have a company or you can't be there yourself, this is an opportunity to contribute. And please see LAS about that. The Chamber will be organizing that aspect of it. The other important point to underline is that this is a joint effort of the government of Greece, the United States government, and the American Greek Chamber. And we'll be working together from now until September to make this the best possible event we can. Also, our ambassador in Athens and his team at the embassy are committed to making sure this isn't just a one-off, and that we actually fill this whole year as the year of America being the honored country with programming, whether it's business programming or cultural or educational programming. And we're very open to ideas or individuals that you might want to send our way to be a part of that process. So again, please, for that, be in touch with myself or with Elias or with your contacts at the American Embassy in Athens.
My question.
And to answer your question, Nick, so when Minister Papadimitriou was here in December, he and Secretary Ross discussed how to set up this joint commission, and they are having their staffs talk to each other, I think, on a pretty much a weekly basis. So the conversation is taking place. I think it's not ready for prime time yet, but the pieces of the puzzle are being put in place.
Very good. Okay, we'll open up to Q&A. I'll just ask that you please identify who you are and ask a question. So the floor is open. Don't all jump at once. Oh, come on. Go ahead, Nick. I know you got to say something.
Nick Karambalis, a volunteer or legal counsel to AHI and a practicing attorney. Could you, Jonathan, could you explain a little more about the purpose, the mission of the commission to which you just referred, and whether there's a role for any of us in their activities?
I'm going to have to give you an unsatisfactory answer. It's because it's the purview of the Department of Commerce. I'm not directly involved in the development of the commission, but I think the idea behind it was to have a government-to-government vehicle that spurs increased commerce between our countries, because we want to grow the business side of the relationship. And the idea behind that is that the business-to-business ties are part of the foundation that is the enduring piece of the relationship. The governments will come and go, but the business links, like the educational and cultural links, will endure. So we want to make that foundation as strong as we can.
Thank you.
Let me, yes, Tom, go ahead.
Tom Corlogus. I was involved in some fairs when I was in Belgium as a U.S. ambassador. We had a hell of a funding problem. The United States said they were going to put on a European exhibit. Mrs. George W. Bush was going to come and open it, and 3 or 4 months before the thing was going to happen, they didn't give us any funding for it. So what did the Belgians do? They went to the Russians. Putin came, and Fabergé Gates came. My question, that's a long way of saying, is the U.S. government going to put any money into this fair, and how are they going to tell us about the funding of it from the USG standpoint?
Well, the U.S. government contribution is in kind. It's time and effort. The funding has to come.
Excuse me, he's one of a kind, it's not in kind.
To the extent that we're able to get U.S. government funding, it won't be of the scale that is needed to set up the pavilion. That is going to have to come from the private sector. So that's our work, is to bring in the private sector contributions.
John.
Okay, thank you. Minister Pappas,
John,
welcome back
identify
to
yourself, John.
Washington. Or John Sidolides. I'm interested in learning from you what you learned from your conversations with business executives around the United States, what they may have shared with you about their experiences, if they had attempted any type of investment strategy in Greece, or what they're looking for. And just share with us what your sense is, having completed most of this trip.
Well, we're not going to reinvent the wheel here. We know what investors are looking for. They are looking for a stable macroeconomic environment and clear rules of the game. And I think this is the point in time that we are offering both. So in a sense that the macroeconomics are there, and the fact that there is an administration that is decisive in bringing transparency, clear rules, and a clear set of incentives for investment is also a fact. So, I mean, it was quite a pleasure for us, one, to have a person like Jonathan Cohen on our side, showing to American businesses that it is not an issue of Greece only, but it is the US government that also wants this event to be successful. But also, we were discussing with people in businesses by saying what we have already prepared, not promising that we will be doing something. There is a legal framework, there are incentive schemes, and money on the table. So that's, I think, more than clear, and this is what gave us a lot of leverage in the discussion, and I'm quite sure, because the Secretary General of Digital Policy and Secretary General of Media who are with us this morning, Stelios Rallis and Lefteris Kretsos, are going to be visiting once again the US to do the follow-up with all the meetings that we have been doing, and keep that as an alive process until September. Yes, exactly. It's not going to be a one-off visit that, I mean, we will forget about. Let me remind you that we are like, it was October 17th that Prime Minister Tsipras visited Washington, and we are like something like 3 months something after that, and lots of things have happened in between. So it is not like we had the Prime Minister and President Trump meeting, shaking hands, photo, and we just go home and enjoy. No, we have been doing things, we have been delivering, and I'm really confident that this time we're going to have very, very, very fruitful results.
Thank you.
Hi, Christina Iotis. To the extent that you're trying to attract the film industry, can you talk a little bit about the internet infrastructure? I mean, today, most people believe that Wi-Fi is as important as water and electricity.
It is.
So to the extent that if people are going to be out in places, they want to know how connected they can be, what the speeds are, what the bandwidth is. Can you talk about who owns the telecommunications infrastructure?
Yes.
And whether that was put in place with the help of any other country, for example, the Chinese, et cetera, because the other piece of it is the protection of intellectual property. So to the extent they want to feel if they're going to be in a place that they're not going to be a target of cybercrime.
Right, let me start from the last one. In terms of IPR, we have done a lot of work. One is we have voted the relevant legislation in July 2017. And as of now, we are running an inventory, digital inventory for the public sector, so we can have a general idea of what kind of systems we have been using, and we can come to terms with the companies that are interested in and set up framework agreements that will be working. Now, infrastructure is very, very critical. We used to say when you sell a piece of land in Greece, we used to say, I remember my grandpa and my grandma saying, "Φως νερό τηλέφωνο." That is, they have electricity, water supply, and a telephone line. Now we're going to force narrow broadband. So that is electricity, water supply, and broadband connection. This is a major concern for all businesses. And we have taken this very, very seriously. And we're going to dedicate more than, I think we will end up spending 500 to 700 million in upgrading our infrastructure and connectivity. Because all these services, these audiovisual services, are coming through either our mobile phones or our smart TV. So it all has to be there. In the next few weeks, we are starting, I could say it is a pilot program, but I'm very optimistic that it is going to work. We're going to spend 50 million euros from the public investment program on a demand subsidy scheme. That is, every business or consumer is entitled to a voucher. The consumer can have that voucher, give it to the telecom operator of her choice, and the telecom operator will be able to have a subsidy to bring a fiber optic to the premises. We are very, very aware how important this is, but we have, so to speak, a target to meet, and that is the EU target for connectivity. The EU target for connectivity says that throughout the public sector, 100%, 50% of households by 2025 should have a connectivity of a speed 100 megabps readily upgradable to 1 giga upload and download. So, we very much understand that this kind of industries need the appropriate networks to run on. And if somebody says it in a broader way, what is the strategic advantage of the country? The strategic advantage of the country is its position in the map, which means this country can be a hub for transport, telecom, trade, but in order to be a credible hub, you need to have contemporary networks. We have concluded the motorway network, which is quite a plus. So now you can go from Athens to Yanina in 4 hours, and if you violate speed limit, 3 hours, 3 hours and a half. But it's quite a new world for Greece. I can assure you that we take this very, very seriously. It is a priority, and I think we should spend like 4 or 5 minutes to show the third video, which is on telecom. Nick, do we have the? Is it okay with the audience to watch another video, which is on telecom?
No gunfire.
It might be boring. It might be boring in the beginning for those of you that do not care about space policies, and in the end for those of you who do not care about post. Unfortunately, both of those fields fall within our portfolio, so we had to include them. But the middle of the video is quite useful and very relevant to your question.
The foundation of the Greek Space Organization has multiple benefits for the Greek economy, entrepreneurship, the research community, and our country's defense and security. The prevention and restoration of ecological catastrophes, the monitoring and prevention of non-licensed construction, telecommunication applications, safe communications, the monitoring of crucial infrastructure, the support of agriculture with the development of precise agriculture applications, border surveillance, applications for climate monitoring, applications for land, sky and sea navigation are only some of the crucial sectors that Greece will be able to implement a comprehensive policy through the Greek Space Organization. The newly founded body will also become an important pole for attracting and making the most of Greek scientists that excel in the space sector. The new body will also make it possible to use European funds that weren't used until now. offering Greece the opportunity to participate in programs with funds by the European Space Agency. The combination of the Greek Space Organization and the Center for Startups in the space sector ensures the connection of science and research with production. The Hellas Sat-3 launch and the forthcoming launch of Hellas Sat-4 in 2018 has ensured Greece's rights in space and has maintained our orbital position. The Greek state's operational capabilities in issues of safe communications in armed forces have been tripled, and new opportunities in the entertainment sector have been provided by giving air to transponder. Furthermore, more revenues from the commercial exploitation of the satellite's overcapacity have been ensured. The beginning of a program for the construction of a microsatellite constellation has special benefits for the country. It increases Greece's importance in space. It enhances our operational capabilities in all sectors. Greece is ranked in the last position in Europe in NGA infrastructures and is quite far from the digital agenda for Europe 2020 and Gigabyte Society 2025 goals. The National Plan for Next Generation Broadband Access by the General Secretariat for Telecommunications and Posts allocates over 700 million euros in projects for the development of broadband infrastructure all over the country. Furthermore, deployment of pilot fifth-generation networks in Trikala and Patras will make Greece one of the first EU countries to adopt this important new telecommunications technology that offers many benefits to business and the economy. The radio spectrum constitutes a valuable but scarce resource. It is used in wireless broadband telecommunications. Activities and services in Europe worth a total of 500 billion euros depend on it. The signing of agreements such as SEDIF and the ongoing tender for the network supplier in digital radio allow the best possible capitalization of the radio spectrum and will gain a substantial revenue for the Greek state. Telecommunications must also have a social aspect too. The provision of public subsidy to ensure access to the internet and to television content for students and residents of regions that aren't covered by the signal of the terrestrial digital broadcasting serves the goal for a fair digital development and confronts a new form of poverty, which is digital exclusion. The project for the installation of Wi-Fi network in 2030 Athens mass transit system vehicles promotes the use of new technologies, enhances digital economy, and reduces the digital gap. The pilot digitalization of 10,000 artifacts of the Post and Philatelic Museum and the initiatives for the reinforcement of its extroversion will allow Greeks and visitors from abroad to learn about the long history of the Greek Post, but mostly, they will safekeep and highlight this valuable cultural treasure.
Could I ask you who the telecommunications infrastructure is built by?
Sorry?
Who the is it a?
It can be a construction company, it can be...
No, what I mean is the
About the
underlying
network now, the
infrastructure.
network-
Is it Huawei routers is what I want to know. American
What?
companies, are they Huawei routers?
I have no idea what that
The
means.
Chinese company Huawei.
No, Huawei is only selling equipment. They do not own any network. I mean, the network is almost solely owned by Deutsche Telekom, which is...
Germans.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
that's what I
the German company that has bought it, unfortunately, together with our satellite.
Okay.
And thereafter we started running to revive our space policy. But in any case, just two small examples to explain to you what kind of transformation and major works have been taking place now in Greece. The first, we were going to fully digitalize the public sector. Our ministry, the Ministry of Digital Policy, Telecom and Media, is fully digitalized, which means every one of us has got a remote signature and we have a document management system, which means I have been signing during our travels throughout the United States. I have remotely been signing documents that have to do with our everyday work in the ministry. Me and 600 more employees in the ministry, we move documents only digitally around, and this will give us a very, very, very good picture of how our processes work. And we will be able very soon, we will be able to evaluate them, upgrade them, make them more efficient. It's only by ink and paper we're going to be saving 6 to 7% of our expenses. But beyond that, we're going to be saving a lot in working hours, because it's a different story. Because you can see at any point in time, I have a ledger on my mobile as to, and I can find in a matter of a second where each and every document that I have signed is. So if something is delayed, I know, I can find that immediately who's got it and try to push to, that's one. The second is that in the next few days we're going to procure the huge infrastructure development that has got to do with precision agriculture. And that comes together with the development of space policies. Precision agriculture, I'm sure many of you will know that, utilizes satellite pictures together with terrestrial data that is taken from terrestrial stations that measures humidity, the conditions of the air, and also sensors that are digged into the soil. And this can create a set of data that produces customized reports for each and every farmer. So farmers know when and how to use pesticides, when and how to use water, and the pilot projects that we have been applying for some years show that we can save up to 30 to 45% in primary inputs for production, depending on the crops. I think this is something that can practically revolutionize our agricultural sector. We are very confident that this is going on. Overall, we are procuring projects of 230 million on the digital transformation of the economy, such as those that I have mentioned, plus, for example, the digital register of businesses, which is another very, very ambitious project, together with the Central Union of Chambers, so that businesses can deal with the public sector in a digital manner without having to spend time queuing up and wasting their time there. And I mean, we are very confident that this is going also to reduce red tape quite substantially.
Are you looking at blockchain technologies for that?
Sorry?
Are you looking at
Okay,
blockchain?
we can't go back in a
Not
one-on-one
yet,
dialogue
but
here.
we will.
Thank you. Are you confident that the exit from the bailout programs can be clean? And what is your answer to those who say that Greece will slow down its reform process after the summer?
Can you repeat the last part of your question? Sorry.
The answer to those who say that Greece will slow down its reform process after the summer.
Well, okay, I think that there is always room for pessimistic approaches, but this room has become narrow and narrow in the recent weeks and days. I think that us and our European partners want to conclude the program successfully. It is the first program that works. It works fiscally, it works in terms of growth and employment, it works in terms of implementation of very, very crucial reforms. So there is no room for pessimistic approaches now, and I would think that pessimism can only be politically driven, because the fundamentals of the economy and recent experience does not suggest that things will not work. So I'll leave it here and just keep every one of us on the positive prospects and the optimistic side of things.
If I may, Mr. Minister, going back specifically now to the fair itself, as I understand these trade fairs, it's usually an environment where people go to sell what they're producing. One, can you give us a little bit of a makeup in terms of how many of these exhibitors are domestic Greek companies? How many of them in the past? I mean, you can't foresee what's going to be in 2018, but traditionally, how many have been, what percentage has come from abroad in terms of their presentations? And specifically, because Greece needs investment opportunities, what opportunities will be presented at this fair specifically to promote the actual investment? So for example, if somebody says, well, yeah, I'm going to come there, but I have a company, I don't want to necessarily exhibit, but I want to speak with someone regarding potential investments. Will the fair provide any specific physical area where somebody can come in contact with someone from the Greek state and other potential matchmaking opportunities for possible investments in the country?
I mean, needless to say that this fair has been following the path of the Greek economy. And as the Greek economy entered its worst recession since World War II, the fair was poor with not a great number of visitors, and of course with not a great number of international exhibitors. Now we can see the revival of the event. And the revival of the event has to do with the fact that we had Russia as the honored country in 2016, China in 2017, and of course US in 2018. But I would like to give the floor to Mr. Spirtounias so he can tell us for a couple of minutes a little bit more about the event itself.
Good morning to all. My name is Nikos Spirtounias. I'm the managing director of the American Chamber in Greece. And first of all, thank you, Nikos and Aki, for this very constructive discussion here. The fair is international fair. So in the past also, there were companies from other countries, visiting and exhibiting, their services and products in that fair. Now, to what, let's say, percentage those companies were, I would say that 25 or 30% of the companies are from outside of Greece. Have in mind, though, that a large portion of the fair also were, let's say, installations and exhibitions, from state organizations and other related, let's say, associations. Now, our ambition as American Chamber, but also as U.S. government and the Greek government as well, is to slowly transform this fair and give it to her a more, let's say, trade, commercial, and investment identity. So, as such, the U.S. pavilion, our, let's say, goal is to attract as many American companies or, let's say, other companies related with the U.S., Greek companies that they have a relation, in trade or in commerce with the U.S., to be part of that, pavilion. Answering to your question before about, the subsidies or any kind of subsidy, no, we don't have any subsidies so far. So we are relying, the U.S. pavilion, the constructions and the organization of all the parallel events is relied to the companies that will take part, let's say, part in the exhibition. They will pay for that, plus whatever sponsorship package they might choose. And there are plenty of sponsorship packages there. You may, by the way, link to our website. It's dynamically updated every day, and you can find all kind of packages, all kind of information, plus videos, the mapping of, and all information. Now, also I want to add also that the fair, as to what we are thinking of this year, has a three-part identity. It's B2C, it's B2G, and it's B2B. So let me explain you. We have more than 300,000, let's say, a visitor being projected to visit the US pavilion and the fair in general. So B2C. We have more than 300 delegations, business delegation professionals visiting from all the regional countries. Have in mind that we are part of the American network, American Chambers network. So we will mobilize all the American Chambers in all the regional countries to bring professionals, businesses, delegations to visit and having discussions. And B2G is because we will have, and we expect to have high governmental delegations, of course the Greek government, the US government, plus also we will invite governmental, let's say, delegations from the regional countries as well. So it's a very, I would say it's a very unique opportunity for US companies that they haven't explored that region of 100 million consumers to be part of that exhibition and to make all their necessary content. I think it's very, exciting. And so we are here, to ask you to help that cause to contact your networks, your let's say contacts, and we are at your disposal as a chamber, and we are looking forward to explain, to provide all kind of information, and hopefully to see you there next September. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the floor? Yes, in the back, Katarina.
Thank you. I
Just identify yourself, Katarina.
Yes. I would like to ask anyone who would like to answer.
Gentlemen.
How do you assess and how do you respond to security threats that in the past have targeted foreign-owned and American-owned businesses in Greece by domestic terrorist groups? So what's the current assessment of the situation and what's your response to that?
I don't know that.
Is there no comment?
Well, all I can say is, refer you to the State Department's travel advisory in Greece, which puts Greece in a category of not being a safe and stable destination. We take any threat to any American individual or company or facility very seriously, and we work very closely with the Greek government to make sure that Americans in Greece are safe and protected to the extent possible.
Jonathan, if I can, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Can you give us a little bit more of the wow factor, maybe, in terms of what the U.S. Pavilion is looking to showcase while, in Thessaloniki, something unique to U.S.?
I can give you my hope for the American Pavilion. I hope that we will have cutting-edge American technology companies, as well as maybe some of the movie studios, and we're encouraging exhibitors to have interactive presentations, so that if we can get someone who does virtual reality to have a virtual reality display that visitors to the fair can actually participate in, if we can get some of the leading technological university applications to show things like how MIT is doing urban planning, and we've seen some displays this week that were extremely impressive that I think will resound very strongly, both with educational communities as well as with municipal governments and with people who are in the construction and infrastructure businesses. So I'm hoping that we really can shine a bright spotlight on the kind of very creative, very cutting-edge work that is being done across a range of fields in American business today. Because what's behind all of this is we also think that there is a great opportunity now for American business to do great deals in Greece, to get in now as Greece turns the corner and starts heading into that sprint I was talking about. If you get in early, you'll be the one who benefits best, and we think this is a business to get in.
Any one-on-one Yanni basketball displays?
Nick, may I add something here? The fair is a multi-sectorial.
Is what, I'm sorry?
Multi-sectorial. We don't
Multi-sectorial.
have, we are talking about innovation and creativity, however, it applies to all kinds of sectors. So we will have health, we have fintech, F&B, cultural organization, sports. So whatever company fits within that, it's welcome to participate.
We'll open it up to a couple more questions. I'm going to allow myself one last question in the end, but any other questions from the floor? Identify yourself.
My name is Steve Boleches. I'm a member of AHI, and I am a businessman. My question for Minister Pappas is, what attraction I can have that I can do business in Greece without regulations and bureaucracy? Greece had the reputation of having too much bureaucracy and not attracting businesses in the past. Could you kindly elaborate to us? I know you did it a few minutes ago about the digital things that you want to do. How can we convince the investor first to come to Greece, and what incentive you're giving it, and about the regulations and the bureaucracy? This is the main concern that I have.
Well, if you're looking to invest in a place without regulation, do not come. So, I mean, there will always be regulation in Greece, which is there to protect society's interests. I mean, and I don't think any business should look for places to work without any sort of regulation, because then that wouldn't be an economy. It would be, I don't know, how would you call it? Bureaucracy. Bureaucracy, I think the answer is on the digital transformation of the public sector, which is something that we are pursuing very, very heavily. And As I told you before, two things that we are pursuing as of now. In the next few days, you will see the procurement for a project of the digital, of a document management system throughout the public sector. And, of course, the digital register of businesses. That is, you will be saving a lot of time, you will not be to queue up, to have this give and take with the public sector, plus you will not have personalized contact with the public sector. I don't want to go further down that argument, everybody understands what I mean. Our principle is the following, that the public sector should not ask you for a document that can be found in a different place within the public sector. They should be able to retrieve it on their own by identifying you personally and your business. So I think that we are speeding up those processes, and this is quite an attractive, of course, within a stable political and macroeconomic environment, which I think is more than obvious. But keep in mind, this is the first time that we are investing money in things that are growth accelerators, such as infrastructure and telecom and connectivity, and public sector reform that has never been there before.
Did you have a question in the back, Andrew?
Yeah, quick question. I saw recently Andrew Pappas, I guess I'm representing him. A few weeks ago, I saw the Ambassador Pyatt and yourself, I think, sign an MOU for the Broadcasting Board of Governors. And could you speak a little bit about what that MOU is? That doesn't reestablish a Greek desk at Voice of America, does it? It's just some sort of media collaboration. I didn't know if you could just talk a little bit about that.
Yes. Well, the core of the MOU has got to do with exchange of content, which I think is quite crucial, because that will help American audience get aware of what is actually going on in Greece, and the Greek audience to understand how the United States society and economy works. And I think this is going to have a great contribution in the mutual understanding of the two people and the historical ties that the two people have.
Is there a time length? Is that like a one-year memorandum, or is that an ongoing?
No, it's going to be, there is no time limit. So this is going to pile up. And
I'm going to ask the last two questions. One is to Mr. Pappas, the other one is to both of you. Golden visas. I've just been recently reading where in 2017 approximately 40% increase in golden visas to about 2,170 in 2017 were given, well, which I think the benchmark is to be able to qualify is $250,000. Euros. Can you tell us a little bit more about that in terms of how important is this in terms of the government? To what degree does it actively promote it? How do you view this particular program?
Well, to be honest, experience is that it has not been as successful as we would want it to be. I would refrain from making any further comments, Nick, because I'm not an expert on the issue. But I would think that this is going to be kind of the success of this program is going to be affected about and it's going to depend on the general tendency of the economy. So here we are to see what kind of improvements we can make in light of the degree of success that the existing program has realized.
And the last question, and forgive me that I'm not going to stay on subject matter, but it's not an opportunity that I have the Deputy Assistant Secretary and a Minister of Greece. And within the last couple of weeks, we have seen, obviously, the sentiments come to a fever pitch in Greece regarding the name of the Macedonian name issue. And to some degree, I think it has some bearing. Obviously, Thessaloniki is where this particular state fair is, and it's at the heart of the issue. But we've had two major demonstrations in Greece, in Thessaloniki and Athens, over the last couple of weeks. And can you tell us, Mr. Minister, exactly from your government's perspective, where do you see this whole thing going right now with Mr. Zayev, there seems to be, they're going to change their name of their airport, their highway to Freedom Highway, and there seems to be, you know, a legitimate moderate approach by the Zayev government. Can you just tell us where is that moving? And I'd like to have your opinion on this as well, Jonathan.
Well, I think we should approach the issue by answering the following question, or two questions. Has the status quo been in benefit of our country, and have the last 25 years of stagnation, so to speak, in the issue been on our favor? And second, is it in our interest to resolve the issue? Now, you mentioned the thing in conjunction with the demonstrations that took place. Greece is a democratic country. If you think you want to demonstrate, you're free to do so, and I think it's not only legitimate, but it helps and it ignites democratic dialogue and also puts pressure upon political parties to have clear positions. I mean, it's not good, especially for parties that would like some time to govern the country, to stay in the gray area between yes, no, maybe we'll say. Now, historically, the north part of Greece, and Thessaloniki in particular, has been a hub of the broader area. When I say historically, I'm talking about the previous centuries. Right? Entrepreneurs in Greece used to trade with Trieste, Budapest, Odysseus, so they were looking up to the north. Unfortunately, the north part of Greece couldn't play this role during the Cold War, because it was the border between East and West. Again, unfortunately, after the Cold War ended, we started having problems with our neighbors on the north. Has this helped the role of the country during the last 3 decades? I think it has not. So I strongly believe, we strongly believe that it is in the best interests of our country and the new role that we want to play as we are exiting the crisis to resolve the issues with our northern neighbors.
Jonathan, how important is this to
Plus, for us politicians, it is a priority that we speak the truth to our citizens and look them in the eye, and especially those citizens who choose to demonstrate. And we should never be hypocritical to them because they are sensitive, okay, we understand, but we must admit, say, in the issue of the name, it is a composite name since 1995. The term Macedonia is included. So, now, it seems that there is a leadership on the other side that has got an increased understanding, so to speak, of the issues that are on the table, and we are optimistic that things could work on.
We, from the U.S. side, as we have for a very long time, support the efforts of the two governments to find a solution to this long-standing problem, as well as the efforts of the UN envoy, Mr. Nimitz, to find a resolution.
Very good. Well, stay tuned on that particular one, but ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure for the American Hellenic Institute to host this very important event here today to promote the Thessaloniki Fair, and obviously to highlight the United States as the future country. We look to do that within our capacities throughout the year to the best of our abilities to get the word out, and we wish you both success in the endeavors that you are pursuing regarding, in your case, not only all your ministerial issues, but the fair, and Jonathan, soon to your new duties, which we wish you well, but we will always know where to find you. So again, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.
Ναι, ναι, κατάλαβα.